You're watching Global Toronto. This is Global News at Noon.
And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Jeff MacArthur. Well, Time is honoring victims of abuse in the magazine's Person of the Year issue. Time magazine has named the Silence Breakers as the most influential person of 2017. Now, they're the women who spearheaded the social movement, highlighting sexual harassment and assault. The cover photo includes actress Ashley Judd, Taylor Swift, and former Uber engineer Susan Fowler. The Silence Breakers beat out shortlisters Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un, and Colin Kaepernick for the title.
Going to move on to other things. Time magazine's Person of the Year. It is not a person, it is actually a collective of women who launched a movement.
Yeah, they turned the spotlight on sexual misconduct in the entertainment industry and beyond. They are the Silence Breakers.
We don't have to just live like this. I always thought maybe things could change for my daughter. I never thought things could change for me.
I am here to give you permission to be angry. People are afraid, especially women. We're conditioned since birth to be polite.
To be nice, to be kind, to be liked. We don't have to.
Journalist Megyn Kelly and actress Rose McGowan are among the dozens of women and men interviewed by the magazine. Time says these are the Silence Breakers who have given a voice to open secrets, pushing everyone to stop accepting the unacceptable. CTV's Tracy Tong joins us live with a story from here. Tracy.
Well, Andrea, we are here at a public town hall discussing what happens after Me Too. So over the last couple of months, we've heard the wave of allegations of sexual harassment and assault in the film and entertainment industry. Today, the discussion is about the solutions, what to do with that information, how to overhaul the laws, the policies, and the cultures that exist that have led to or contributed to sexual misconduct in that industry. I'm here with Hannah Sung, who is a co-organizer for After Me Too, as well as a journalist with the Globe and Mail. Hannah, thank you so much for joining us. First, I want to hear your reaction, though, to Time Magazine's Person of the Year being the Silence Breakers and what that means.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. It was really great news. I think that, it's not about one person. It's about a movement and this moment and the energy and the galvanizing of people who are just saying no more and that we want a culture change. And so I think it's a really smart decision to have it not be about one person, but about a movement.
Now, there was a great discussion here today surrounding After Me Too and what happens now. I know there have been many discussions over the last little while. What are some of the solutions that have been talked about?
Well, we had 9 roundtable discussions with professionals from a varied range of backgrounds, and it was really incredible to get all these big thinkers in the same place. So there were many recommendations, and we've tweeted them out at After Me Too. One of them is to establish an independent body so that there's a proper chain of reporting without conflict of interest. Education is key. There were so many. Also establishing a different idea of what is the workplace. It's not about places, it's about people's relationships to each other. So you can check them all out at After Me Too.
I know it's been an emotional session for some of the people in here. They've overcome a lot of difficulties. There have been challenges along the way. Going forward, what do you think is going to be one of the biggest challenges tackling this issue?
You're right. It was a very emotional day. I think this conversation is always emotional, especially for survivors and for allies and people who want to help. I think that emotion is good. I think that it can help everyone kind of recognize the urgency of the moment and that this is not a moment to be squandered. Finally, people are being able to speak truth to power. Actress Mia Kirshner, who is really the driving force and the kind of instigator of this entire After Me Too movement, she just spoke now saying that when she spoke up 22 years ago, telling her agents something bad happened, she didn't feel heard. And today, she is being heard. And I think that we just need to kind of capture that momentum and keep moving it forward. The challenges are massive because we're talking about cultural change. So really, it's a matter of every single person understanding what power they wield and how they can be a part of positive change.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Hannah, and for telling us all about that. After Me Too has 3 steps to it, really. The first step was a series of roundtables. Today was the second step, this public town hall, and the third step is a report that they're going to be releasing sometime in the next year. Reporting live, I'm Tracy Tong. Back to you.
Thank you, Tracy.
We turn now to Time Magazine's choice for Person of the Year. And it's not a person, but a group of people and the social change that they started.
The silence breakers are victims of sexual harassment and assault who for years had not come forward. It started in Hollywood. It quickly grew beyond the industry. CTV's Tracy Tong joins us with that and a symposium here in Toronto, Tracy, that was born out of the Me Too movement.
That's right, Ken. We've heard the words Me Too countless times since the wave of workplace sexual assault and harassment allegations started. But a group of Canadian film industry leaders have come together to talk about what happens now after Me Too.
Pictures were being taken of me, and it was shouted out across the room, I thought your were bigger.
It was one of the first times actor Nicole St. Martin was sexually harassed by a colleague.
And not one person looked me in the eye, and nobody said anything, which is extraordinarily painful. And so, I knew in that moment that I had a choice to make.
It would continue for 15 years. Canadian film industry leaders are here to say they will no longer ignore these stories.
They make me angry, and I'm frustrated that nothing has been done. There's been a lot of talk and not a lot of action.
But talking is a start.
The least I could do was actually tell my own story and validate theirs for them in a way.
The Silence Breakers have been named Time Magazine's Person of the Year, a group of women who shared their stories and inspired others to speak out in the Me Too movement about sexual misconduct.
It means change. It means change.
I think right now we're being listened to and we can't squander the moment.
Sexual harassment is not just having fun. It's not just how it is.
The Minister of Justice, actors and filmmakers, trauma experts and lawyers have come together to discuss what happens after Me Too, listing recommendations including having a unified industry-wide response to sexualized violence, expanding the definition of workplace to include any environment with a business relationship, creating an independent investigative body to avoid conflict of interest, and having online sexual misconduct reporting systems.
And I want younger actors who are coming out into the industry to know that is not okay.
Those who have lived a painful past, demanding a culture change for the future.
And the group is now working to create a comprehensive report with recommendations to improve culture, legislation, and policy. It will be released to the public next year.
Time Magazine is honoring the men and women speaking out about sexual misconduct everywhere.
Here, we will not go away.
They've been dubbed the Silence Breakers, and they are Time's Person of the Year. On the cover of this year's edition are the women behind the Me Too movement, which is prompting victims around the world to tell their stories of abuse and harassment. The cover includes activists Adama Iwu, actress Ashley Judd, singer Taylor Swift, strawberry picker Isabel Pasquale, and former Uber engineer Susan Fowler. Several of the victims spoke about the movement for a feature that was produced by the magazine.
The shame is not ours to hold. The shame is on the perpetrator. Me Too can be a conversation starter, or it can be the whole conversation.
It took away the power from the predator and placed the power on the victim. And maybe, just maybe, we would be able to get a glimpse at the magnitude of this problem.
Now, a group of industry leaders organized an after Me Too town hall at the Globe and Mail Center on King Street West today. Town hall organizers say they don't want the opportunity created by the Me Too movement to be lost. They're talking about bringing real change when it comes to sexual harassment.
The common experience is that it is a common experience, that almost every single woman I know has been harassed or abused or assaulted in some kind of way, and that we've had enough with this type of behavior. So one of the things that keeps coming up is that there hasn't been places to report when issues come up. There hasn't been people to talk to, and there's also been the fear of reprisal. There's also been the fear of exposure.
The disease of turning a blind eye isn't restricted to the film industry. It's in every industry. I do think that when there's a powerful structure that's making money, a squeaky wheel who's talking about sexual misconduct in the workplace is generally shushed and silenced. And I think what we're hearing today, by the turnout today, it's very clear that there is a cry for change, the demand for change.
Overhaul the outdated laws governing the entertainment industry regarding sexual harassment.
By sharing their stories of sexual assault and harassment, they exposed hidden wrongs, gave, quote, voice to open secrets, and pushed whisper networks out into the public. And for all of that, today Time magazine announced the Silence Breakers as its Person of the Year.
I could never have envisioned something that would change the world. I was trying to change my community.
I thought, you know, if women could just come forward and say me too.
Among those featured on the cover shot, actor Ashley Judd, singer Taylor Swift, and former Uber engineer Susan Fowler. Time is calling the Silence Breakers the voices that launched a movement.
This is the fastest moving social change we've seen in decades. And it began with individual acts of courage by hundreds of women and some men too.
We see celebrities.
Illustrating just how wide that movement has spread, Time made its announcement this morning on NBC's Today Show, from which just last week co-host Matt Lauer was fired for alleged sexual misconduct. The most recent wave of allegations started with women speaking out against Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. Soon, stories of sexual assault and harassment were coming from all over, many of them being shared with the hashtag #MeToo. In this city, people have stepped up to create change in all industries. Stephanie Skenderis was there as they spoke at a town hall today.
What happens next? That's the question being asked in this room, a town hall hosted by the Globe and Mail, where speakers like Canada's Justice Minister are challenging existing attitudes.
Sexual harassment and violence must stop.
The Me Too movement has led to another one in Toronto after Me Too.
I have never actually felt this hopeful about this issue.
We better use this moment wisely and make sure it happens.
Toronto actors Mia Kirshner and Freya Ravensbergen are calling for specific change in their industry, but say this doesn't end there.
When we look at restaurants, when we look at hotel support staff, I mean, Bay Street, it's everywhere. Rise up in your own workspace, gather a group of allies, you write the report, you get the statistics, and you demand change.
The conversation picks up here at Bloor Collegiate Institute, where student leaders are working to end misogynistic attitudes and violence against women. Today, the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women, male students marched silently through the halls, each one carrying a picture of a woman killed in the Montreal massacre 28 years ago, as well as images of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and a picture representing transgender women who have faced violence.
A lot of the reason men don't advocate as much as they should is because we simply lack the ability to empathize with the problem in general.
One teacher says he's working to get the conversation going in the classroom.
So talking to boys about what's appropriate language, what's not, how to feel comfortable about addressing some of these issues with their friends.
And female students at the school say they see improvement.
For the past couple of years, from when I was younger in grade 9 to now, the way guys in my grade talk about this issue, it's completely different. And I think it's part of the reason is because of what we're doing and the fact that we're raising awareness and talking about it.
The types of discussions people in this room hope will continue after Me Too. Stephanie Skenderis, CBC News, Toronto.
And one of the people Time magazine is featuring as a silence breaker is actress Selma Blair. She shared her story with CBC in October after she went public with allegations that film director James Toback once asked her to strip, propositioned her for sex, then threatened to stab her and throw her in the Hudson River if she told anyone. She spoke to us about why she decided to tell the story.
I was disgusted. I was really disgusted for so many years by it, disgusted with myself, the way he made me feel. It's not, coming out of fear or anger. It's coming out of justice and how to make this a watershed moment and to make this something that we're on the right side of history with that.
Toback denies the allegations.